Hey everyone, and we're back with something completely new. Robert, how's it going?
Hello. It goes. It goes.
It goes. Okay,
Yep, always does.
good to hear. So, yeah, one tweet and an entire new show.
Doesn't take much these days.
No, apparently it doesn't. Apparently it doesn't. Uh, yeah. Oh wait, first let me welcome some people in the side chat. So, critical cripple Dave was first, and Ed was here. Grumpy old dude, Jen with one N, Colonel and Peacock. Oh man, spooky. Good to see you all. Randolph, you made it. Great. And my good old friend Ron. Hey, Ron, that's really good
Ron.
to see you. Ron DeVever is here too.
Ron, I
Okay.
just finished the book. I just finished the book. By the way, thank you very much. I just finished it. It's great. I had to throw that in there. Sorry.
You got a book.
Yeah.
That,
It's actually pretty fucking good.
coming from Ron, I would have thought you would have gotten a bicycle. Ron
No bike. No bike.
Ron and I talk about bicycles most of the time. So
Mental exercise, not physical.
okay. So yeah. So do you want to do your explanation why we're here?
Why the hell not? So I dropped one of my 120-second videos, and y'all forgive me a little bit. For whatever reason, my Jack Russell Corgi is a little needy right now, so we're just gonna hang out here and reasons. But I dropped a 120-second video because I got some responses to the video I put out about Dylan Roof and Fuckface Kyle. I made the comment that they brought Dylan. I'm getting background noise. Is that my? Hold on. Forgive me, everybody. I got some kickback because I mentioned that fuckface Dylan was taken to Burger King. The overwhelming majority of the responses were positive. I love my followers. Thank y'all. And I'm looking over my screen a little bit, everybody, only because the screen is super delayed and it's messing me up. But I got a handful of tweets and a handful of DMs that corrected me, and they were right that Dylan Roof, fuckface, was not actually taken to Burger King. Dylan Roof went to jail and they brought him Burger King. And it pissed me off after I sat and I thought about the responses, because if I send a tweet out about two mass murderers, because between the two of them, 11 people are dead,
Yeah.
and all you could respond was, I'm concerned about the location of this little fucker's meal. To me, it's like sitting front row center at Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. One of the most fantastic speeches ever given by a person, white, black, green, yellow, otherwise man, woman, it doesn't matter. And if you're sitting front row center in the middle of that speech, and the first thing you're like is Martin, Martin, right? If you notice the grape juice stain on the man's collar versus focusing on this incredible fucking message, you're a dick. And so what kind of started all this, other than the skateboard video, which we're going to show here in a little bit, was if you saw a 120-second video about two mass murderers, and what made you respond to me was where these little fuckers ate food,
You're missing the point.
fuck you.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really, fuck you. Because here's the thing, and I won't say the person's name. I sent a tweet out a while back about fuckface Dylan Roof. And I got a tweet and then I got a DM. And so just in case people don't know the Dylan Roof story, this little asshole walked into a church with a rifle, killed 9 people. Their race is irrelevant to the fact that they're dead. He killed 9 people. I made a tweet about fuckface Dylan Roof And I got a tweet response and a DM response from someone who knew one of the victims. I cried my eyes out when this person responded to me. First thing I did was apologize. And I said, I will delete that tweet right now. If this is causing you any distress, PTSD, and basically all this person said was, I can't believe this actually happened. It happened like it was yesterday. And I'm trying not to cry now thinking about what this person told me. I don't give a fuck where Dylan Roof ate. I don't care if it was a double Whopper. I don't care if he had Sprite. I don't care if he had Coke. I don't care if he had Pepsi. 9 people are dead because a radicalized, angry white kid went into a church and shot 9 people. And all these people could focus on is where the little fucker ate Burger King. That's the problem. And I got a whole bunch of notes sitting right here and I can go on for fucking ever. So if you kind of want to know what started this shit avalanche for me is that people were more concerned. And I'm going to say that one more time. People were more concerned where fuckface Dylan Roof ate Burger King versus the 9 people. Because go ask them. Go ask the people. Because these 9 people didn't stand alone. They had wives, husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends, sons, daughters, moms, dads, cousins, friends, co-workers. It's not just the 9 people. It's this wake of humanity whose lives have been fucking destroyed. Yeah. And there were a handful of people that actually were concerned where Dylan Roof ate fucking Burger King. And I cannot tell you how fucking angry that makes me, because the assholes that responded never mentioned the 9 victims. They didn't mention the lives that have been altered for fucking ever. They were concerned that this asshole ate fast food and where he ate it. That's what
they're literally more concerned that you tweet accurate whether or not someone died or not, and that's the part that gets me too.
I looked it up and they were right. Dylan Roof went to jail. Then they brought him Burger King. And again, I don't know the 9 people. I don't. But I wonder if those fuckers who tweeted that shit at me tweet that at the surviving family members. Oh, by the way, Robert was wrong. Dylan actually ate it in jail. Do you really think those people give a fuck where Dylan ate fast food?
Yeah.
Again, it's this severe lack of focus. And again, I'm going to get to a little bit deeper shit later, but it's when black people, and in my case, when black people are screaming, and I hope people can see the shirt, I wore this for a fucking reason. When black people are screaming about our lives, and you bring up Burger King, when black people are screaming about our lives, and the first thing, I had 2 people say this today at work, and I gave them both the finger. When we're screaming about our lives, and the first thing you say is, well, what about buildings? When I'm screaming about my life, and you're saying, what about a flag? When I'm screaming about my life, and you say, respect the national anthem. I don't think some people don't understand how fucking dehumanizing that is. And I'm not a fan of looting. I don't like seeing people on TV crying because their mom and pop business has been burned to the ground. It makes me sad too. I don't like it. But that person who lost their mom and pop business has a better chance of reviving that business before George Floyd will revive his life. So this, what everyone is seeing, the anger you're hearing in my voice, is because people are tired of being ignored. So I don't give a fuck about your buildings, and I don't give a fuck where Dylan Roof ate fast food. If you send me a tweet about where Dylan Roof ate fast food, but you didn't mention the 9 people that he killed, once again, fuck you. That's where this came from.
Yeah, and I fully agree. It is. I told you yesterday, and I've never said this online. At times, I suffer from depression. It's when I go a little bit silent on Twitter, don't respond much. And so when the whole thing started happening, when all the videos were being shared on Twitter, it to me it was just too much. I cannot watch that happening without being affected. It
Absolutely.
I spiraled down and I was silent for a couple of days. And I don't get it that people aren't outraged that this needs another couple of deaths to get worldwide attention, that a certain demographic in the US still doesn't have basic human rights. They're still second-hand citizens. And that literally makes me furious. That makes me furious.
The fucked up portion is that you're in Holland.
Yes.
And I've got people who live literally down the street from me who don't have the insight that you have, right? I've got people literally at work today saying the exact opposite that you're saying. That, again, what's more important? My life or a building? My life or a flag? My life or a song? My life or where Dylan Roof ate fucking Burger King? You're not even here, and you have more insight. You're more human than the fuckers that live literally down the street from me. And it's part of the reason why I isolate myself, because if everyone sounded like you, I'd probably leave my house more. And when I don't, what's that fucker's Jordan? I don't remember if I blocked him or muted him. But when I send out some of these tweets about, I'm actually afraid to go to the store. My ass cheeks have been clenched up since I was a child when I'm driving and I see a cop car. And this fucker always says something to the effect of, you're kind of like, well, why don't you move? Or why it's not that bad. And I'm looking at his icon or his avatar, and it's a fat fucking white dude who's middle-aged. I'm like, well, no wonder. You don't have my vision. You don't know what it's like to walk in my shoes. And that's what I said in that video. You're so worried about stats. I'm worried about my life. And again, it kind of goes into one of my points. People who recite stats, they're not part of that number, right?
No.
I teach, and hold on. We're setting a record, because I always talk about, I don't think I've ever gone through a YouTube interview where I haven't talked about what I do for a living. We're 10 minutes in, so this may be a new record. I'm a self-defense teacher. My seminars get somewhere between 25 and 30 some odd women per seminar. And if there's one sad fact I've learned about teaching women self-defense, women come to women's self-defense reasons, sadly, for a reason. The overwhelming majority of women who walk through those doors, they've experienced something bad.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting, I deal with more rape survivors and hear their stories more in a 7-day period than most people do in a 7-year period. I hear it all the fucking time. And if I sat here and I just read stats and just these cold hard numbers, because I've never been raped, I've never been molested, I've never been harassed. I'm a 6'3" black dude. I don't have the same vision of the world that these ladies have. And if I just walked in and read the stats, and like I've said, there's always a stat behind the stat. So if all you do is read this, once again, fuck you. But if I walked into that class with 30 women, probably 15 to 17 women have probably experienced something bad. And if I just sat here, I was like, okay. According to police stats since 1994, only 20 to 25 women will get through college without experiencing some sort of rape. You have to know who the fuck it is you're talking to, because those 25%, and remember, these are just the women that have come forward. If I sat there and said that to those women, because I don't have a relationship to that statistic, I would be just as much of a gaping asshole as the person who's sitting here and telling me it's not that bad out there for black people. you're white and you don't understand. And if I sit here and I go into a room full of women who have suffered and endured a sexual violation, and I sit here and I say it's only 20%, right? People who throw out stats, they're not part of the fucking number. So it's not real for them. And so when you sit here and tell me how safe it is, you don't understand who the fuck it is you're talking to. One, your stat on a great day is fucking tortured and mutated. And two, again, just like the rape survival classes and the self-defense classes, I think I said that wrong. I apologize. I extremely apologize. But if I went in there and I minimized those ladies' experiences by saying it's only 25%, when you're sitting in a room where 70 to 80% of those ladies are part of the only 25%, I'm a dick. So when you sit here and you tell me things like it's only blank, it's not that bad, well, white people suffer this more, shut the fuck up. My dad was shot in a civil rights march. You understand? My mother was spat upon in sit-ins. My Uncle Milton was almost hung in the front yard. This is a man I've never met, and the story is fucking heart-wrenching. I think I've told Lilith this fucking story. Everything that you think is just some cold, hard number, facts, fuck you. That's my life. And it's not just my life. It's a lot of black people's lives who don't have the platform that I have to sit here and say what I'm saying. Thank you, Peter. So again, when it comes to these fucking stats, roll them in a ball, shove them up your ass, and that's where you keep them. Because when you get online and you say things like it's not that bad, you're talking to someone who actually has it bad. So people who kick out stats and numbers, you're not part of those stats and numbers. So you have no relationship. It's no different than if I walked into a women's self-defense class and simply said, it's not that bad. It's only 20 to 25%. What 80+% of my class is part of the only 25%, it fucking matters. Yeah. So again, fuck you in your stats. People who kick out numbers, they're not a part of the number, and I don't want to hear your voice.
Yeah, we have a few videos pulled up that we can show later. When all of this happened, so I sent out a tweet and I got a lot of response. This is literally why we're here today doing this show, because I tagged you in and you said we need to do a show on this, and I said, yes, right, let's make it happen.
Yep.
In the backlash of that tweet that I sent out, I was sent more videos. I was sent a video, and I'm not sure about the ages because my memory isn't that great, and I didn't want to see that video twice. I saw a 9-year-old girl in a park who saw a cop car coming, and her first response was to raise her arms in the air and start crying.
Yeah,
If I see something like that, I break. I literally break. The cop got out. It was a female cop, and she started talking to the girl, trying to make her feel more comfortable. So that was a great response. She was horrified by the idea how scared that little girl was, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
If you see a video like that, that's just one girl. I saw another video of a boy playing ball in front of his house. Mm-hmm. A cop car drove by. He hid behind the car.
Yep, I saw that.
If that is how you need to grow up as a kid, living in fear of a cop car, where that should mean safety, right? I mean, the fact that a cop car drives through your street, that should mean you live in a safe neighborhood because you got cops patrolling the neighborhood. Yep. It is not okay if that sends out that amount of fear that children hide, raise their hands in the air, and start crying. That to me is pretty much the most powerful thing that I've seen so far.
I saw
apart from the actual police violence. Obviously,
there was a video of a girl in Houston, and I had the same reaction you did, and it fucking killed me. Again, Houston is only 2 hours from where I live, and when we talk about these racial stories, people think two things: one, that was a long time ago, or two, that's so far away from me. That's like some podunk town in Arkansas with 500. No, this was in Houston, and it was. I'm gonna die. It was a little girl. I mean, like 5 or 6, a child, and I commend the cop. The little girl was like, "Oh man."
Take your time.
She asked the cop, "Are you going to hurt me?" And it was a white cop, and he got down. He got down on a knee, and he assured her he wasn't going to hurt her. And you're like, you know what? No child should grow up like that.
No.
And then I saw another video of a boy who's probably 16, 17 years old. And it was a video of the top 10 things his parents taught him. And it was things like how to address a cop, how to leave a grocery store. And I cried because I was born in 72. Those were the exact same things my parents taught me. And it wasn't how to thrive in the United States. It was how not to die in the United States. And even the George Floyd stuff, I don't think people understand what it's like when you're my age and older and you were born and raised underneath the Mason-Dixon line. It's I remember, I think I did a video on it where I tried to tell someone this at work. And it was like, this is what my dad taught me when a cop pulls me over. And she kind of got a little snippy. And she was like, well, I teach my kid the same thing. I was like, then you're missing the point, because my dad finished that lesson with, if you don't do this, you're going to die. You're going to fucking die. This isn't just yes or no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. It's literally you have to announce everything you're doing. And if you think I'm lying, everyone go look at the fucking Philando Castile video. He's only the one that we caught on tape. Do you know how many fucking black people died doing the exact same thing? Sir, I'm going to reach for my license. Sir, I reach for my license. Sir, I'm taking my hand off. Sir, I'm reaching for my... Don't do it. Sir, I'm reaching for my license. Next thing you know, he's got 6 fucking bullets in his rib cage.
Yeah.
Again, these are only the videos that we see.
And that is what people also don't realize, because nowadays everyone has a mobile phone. So that does 2 things. First of all, they have the ability to record. Second, it might stop the cop from doing something bad. So if you take those 2 things into account and then try to figure out what happened when no one had a camera.
Right.
And people say this is just happening now. This is just now getting worse. No, it hasn't. It's only now that people have the ability, have the equipment to make it public, to put it on Twitter before anyone can stop them. They can make a video, run off, put it on Twitter, and it's out there. The moment it's out there, it's not going to go away anymore. And it's going to be copied and copied and copied.
And that's exactly how we caught the 2 fuckers that killed Ahmaud Arbery. They went home that night, just like fuckface killer Kyle went home that night. And if it wasn't for the fact that someone caught it on their phone, those 2 assholes would would still be living in their house, living in comfort. And I know Will Smith has taken a beating a little bit in the atheist community over some recent comments. But to quote noted historian, oh God, I'm going to get emotional. This is terrible. Will Smith, he said, racism hasn't gotten worse. Racism has only started to become recorded. And just like you said, I mean, fuck me. It was the late 90s, I think, when the iPhone came out. That was my childhood, where people were being killed all the time. But no one had every 16-year-old kid is an investigative reporter now. Every kid has an iPhone. James Byrd was murdered 90 minutes from my house in 1999, right before social media and everything else. We were still doing AOL. You had to take your phone cord out and plug it into your laptop, right? And your connection was fucking terrible. Try masturbating to that. You kids got no idea how lucky you fucking have it. Pornhub, fuck you. You had to sit there and wait 20 minutes for a half-naked lady to come on your screen, if you remember that. But James Byrd was murdered 90 minutes from my house. They hog-tied him. They put a chain, not a rope, a chain around his neck. They attached the other side of that chain to a pickup truck. And 4 racist fuckfaces laughed as they drugged that man. They didn't drug him until he died. That's way too humane. They drug him until his head separated from his body. There were no cell phones to record it.
No.
This isn't just, I said this earlier, this isn't, George Floyd is a battle cry. He represents what's been going on since 1619. Right? I had some not an asshole. I take that back. There's someone on Twitter who I disagree with a lot. I respect him. We just don't agree. I take that back. But he sent me a video of a black guy because he saw my video from 2 days ago. And it was a black guy who basically disagreed with every point that I had. And I responded, congratulations. All you've proved is that there's a black man who doesn't agree with me. And his point was, well, there are other black people who don't think like you, and they're numerous. And that's kind of the point. I was like, thank you, Mr. White Man, for educating the black guy on black people. Because I had no idea until you just sent me that fucking tweet that there are black people who don't agree with me. Thank you very much for fucking educating me.
Yeah.
And that's what it goes back to the self-defense class. If you spit out numbers and stats, you're not a member of those numbers or those stats. Listen to the people that are telling you that it's difficult. Listen to them because they're saying it for a fucking reason. Ignoring us. I've never been called a terrorist before. I've been called a lot of shit in my life. I've never been called a terrorist till I got on Twitter because I was saying I don't care about your buildings. I just really don't. I still don't care. I don't agree with looting, but I don't care about your buildings. If you want to know why buildings are being burned, it's because we're tired of being murdered in the fucking street. And so when people are telling you it's tough, write that shit down. Just like when I walk into those women's self-defense classes and they say, Robert, this is what it's like to be a 5'6", 115-pound woman. I'm frightened to go jogging on a trail. And if I sit here, I'm like, well, Susie, according to the statistics, I'm a dick. She's telling me what it's like to be her. And if I just sit here and read a stat and tell her you're lying, I'm a sack of shit. Just like when I tell people, and when I say I mean everyone who looks like me. When I tell you that shit is difficult and all you do is get online, immediately pull up a stat, it's because you're not me. You have that luxury of not being a stat. I'm a fucking stat. That's why if y'all can see my handle, it says the next black man to be shot. And I can go on for fucking ever. So I need to cool off a little bit. But when people are telling you the shit is bad and you're not a part of that group, instead of telling us shut the fuck up or reading stats, maybe you should listen. maybe you should listen.
Maybe you should go and talk to some people. Maybe you should don't rely on what you see on TV. Just go over and talk to someone,
Right?
because chances are good that they will talk to you. And if you got
Oh yeah,
sincere questions, you will get honest answers.
absolutely.
The problem is that no one seems to be interested in all of this, and it's only because it doesn't affect them, and at times
Yep.
they might even benefit from what is going on, because
No question.
it's not only this, it's also when it comes to jobs. For white people, it's easier to get a job, it's easier to get a better job. It doesn't
Yep.
affect them, it actually benefits them.
Yep. And they
And
can't
that
hear you.
and
They go ahead. What's
No,
that?
but that is an additional thing, which all leads up to all of the violence. Because if one thing can happen, everything can happen. Because if you keep quiet about one thing, you keep quiet about everything. Yesterday we talked
Absolutely.
about cops and
Yeah.
ratting people out, and
Yes.
and you told me that the name whistleblower also has a bad connotation already. I don't get
Yep.
that. I really
Yep.
don't get that. If you see something that is against the law, you need to speak up. You need to speak up and speak your mind, because this is what we need to do as a civilization. We need to as one condemn actions like that. And
Yep.
if we see it happen, we need to take the appropriate steps. And
Yep.
I don't give a fuck if you call me a rat, if you call me a whistleblower, if that's a negative. I don't care. I don't care. You need to do
But
something.
I think people, at least here in the States, they do care. And I think that's kind of what is deemed as a patriot. And that a patriot seems to be someone who doesn't want any change at all whatsoever. They're the ones, the patriots are the ones who are telling people like me, then why don't you just leave? Because they don't want to change. And we just have two different views, because to me, like the whistleblower, the rat, the snitch, I care enough about this country to point out its bruises and its soft spots. I care enough because I want it to change. I want to change for the better, right? And the lady that I was with this morning, one of my students, we talked about, and I've had to separate my professional life and my personal life more now than ever. So I just sit here and I let her talk, and I was like, pay at the front. But she's one of those. She doesn't understand why people are kneeling, why people, and she's actually said, kicked it back to the fucking 60s and said, love it or leave it. I haven't heard that shit since Richard Nixon, because people don't want to change. You're not afraid to change. You have no problems being called a whistleblower. I have no problem with people trashing me on Twitter, talking shit about me. I don't give a fuck. But I would say the vocal majority do care about being called names, and they don't want to change. Right? Change is hard. I openly admit. Fuck me. I was a fundamentalist Christian for almost 40 years. You know how fucking hard that was for me to change? I throw myself under the bus all the time because of my upbringing and the sport that I played. I was a misogynistic sack of shit. And it's kind of like, I'm not racist. I didn't call anyone a nigger today. Your bar for racism is so low that as long as you don't call me a nigger, you think you're a champion. Same thing with misogyny. Just because I don't call a woman a cunt or a whore or a bitch doesn't mean I'm not spouting misogynistic shit. And when you played football in the 80s and the 90s, that's all you were taught. And it wasn't until someone at work, literally, I say this all the time, grabbed me by my shirt, pulled me down, and she ripped me a new asshole. And I'll never forget her. And it changed how I thought and how I talked about women, because she exposed what a piece of shit I was being towards women. And it's a hard thing to do, especially when it's quote unquote not your fault. I'm a mama's boy. I wouldn't hit a woman if you paid me money. But what was coming out of my mouth said something different. And it wasn't until Jane and Michelle ripped me, I was like, oh, I need to change. And it's hard. And so for people to say, wow, being racist is more than just calling someone a nigger or a wetback or a chink or a gook. It's hard to change. It's hard to change. And people don't want to do it. And whistleblower is a bad term. Thank you, Trump. But yeah, being that one person to stand out and say, it's kind of like, I got Jesus. You need to mute me because I can do this forever. I remember when Caitlyn Jenner was called some athlete of something to the effect. And actually it was the same lady that I taught self-defense to today. And it was the same shit. It was the same shit where you bring up a picture of a Navy SEAL and hold on, here's my boy. Yeah. And he's carrying his injured Navy SEAL buddy while carrying 2 weapons to the checkpoint. That's brave. That's brave. It's like, yeah. It's brave because it's accepted now. But you know what's brave? Doing the one thing that's going to get people to talk the most amount of shit about you. Caitlyn Jenner, everything else aside, her politics, whatever the fuck, being your authentic self, that's brave. Knowing that no one's going to accept you, that is brave, and that's why she won that award. Awards are just glamour shows, but that is brave. And so again, standing up and being that one person, and matter of fact, we should probably play a video of the skateboard for this one, but being that one person to do the one thing that no one accepts, but you know it's right, that's brave. Doing the one thing, there's no bravery in me walking into a Black Panther meeting and saying, Black Power, or you. More importantly, you, Lilith, Artie, all the people that don't have my pigmentation. Bravery is you guys standing up in the middle of a fucking protest and saying, I'm standing with Black people. Stop treating them like shit. That's bravery, because y'all are going to get the most amount of kickback. I can't do this unless y'all stand up with me.
Well, so
truly.
I haven't mentioned it during this show. Our waiting screen, which used to have the channel name on it, it'll have Black Lives Matter on it until you tell me I can take it down. Same thing goes for the logo down here. That'll have Black Lives Matter on it until you tell me I need to take it down. And because I don't think we're going to get anywhere if we don't start supporting each other. I agree. It's just not. And if
I agree.
That tiny little ripple that we can make with our channel, I'm fine with that. And if people want to come at me why I have that there, I'll make time to explain that to them. Because we spoke yesterday. My best friend is not only a Christian, he's a Syrian. He's a refugee. When I lived in my old house in town, my neighbor, he's a racist. His first response when my best friend's sister and her husband moved in across the street, his first response was, well, there goes the value of my house.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
I wasn't there. I would have punched him in the face.
Exactly.
Just at I wouldn't even have to think about that. That would have just happened.
Yep.
My longest friends here in Holland that I can think of is a Moroccan family. Colored family. Back then, Turk was a slur. It was the same thing as the N-word in the U.S. And at the moment, Moroccan is used for the same thing. So it pisses me off as well, because those people are family to me. My best friend is family to me. And when I see people uh, making derogatory I can't speak derogatory comments when they
Yeah.
pass by, that pisses me off. And
Right.
I'm not the silent type, so I will speak up.
We need you. Exactly.
Fortunately, with my appearance, and when I'm outside, I usually have a leather jacket, so I get respect that isn't well deserved because I'm not a strong guy.
Still.
I'm not a fighter,
Yeah.
but at least I get the respect and I get the chance to speak up and I
that
get the
matters.
chance to make people know that that kind of behavior isn't appreciated and why it's not.
It is not. It is not.
Because it is ignorance. It is pure ignorance.
And hate
And
at this point.
and hey, I
Yeah.
mean, when we met way back on a Christian
Yeah.
channel, I didn't see a black guy. I saw a guy who, and I said this yesterday. I can start a question, you can finish it. You can start a
Sure.
question, I can finish it.
Yeah.
We have that.
A great
That's-
chemistry. No question.
That's by accident. After that, we have so much in common. And to be fair, I'm at times I'm jealous. I wish I looked like you because and I'll leave
No,
that
you don't.
I'll
Oh, thank
leave
you.
I'll
Thank
leave
you.
I'll leave that to the women in the side chat to agree with me because I know
Oh, my
for a fact if it's a contest,
I'm going to cry for a different reason.
I'm losing.
That's a good one. Okay.
So, but I mean, we get along. We've never had to talk about anything
Right.
regarding a skin color because it's
No.
stupid. We're humans.
Right.
We're
Right.
part of the same race, the human race, and that's
Right.
the only thing that counts. And the fact that Lilith said Robert wins. See, told you. Okay.
Boy, y'all are going to comment on Papa? Isn't he good looking? He's been here the whole goddamn time. That little needy little bastard. What do you say, Papa? You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right.
I think at times it looks like your dogs are more famous on Twitter than you are. Just
Most
just like-
definitely. The videos are all Papa. The pictures, Bubba. The number of DMs I've gotten. See, here we go. It was like, well, you need to get a page for Bubba. It's like I can barely handle my own fucking page. You know, getting one for the Bubs, who's in the bedroom right now. I can guarantee you. And for whatever reason, Papa's on my lap, but that's just the way this shit works out. But no, oh Jesus, I'm still crying from that little girl example. Jesus, I got to suck it up. Wow. But
Well,
you want to crank that skateboard video?
yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah,
So,
let's do it.
Do you want to do an introduction? Do we play it first?
I say let's play it first.
Okay.
Let's play it first.
Okay, here we go.
To the camera. Why? No, to the camera.
Why?
Because I'm gonna hit you in the fucking face with the skateboard as soon as you say the N-word.
Why?
Because you can't say it.
Nigga.
You got it on camera? Did you, Asher? Can't say the N-word, my boy.
Can't say the
All right.
N-word.
So here's the man of color's view on what it is I just saw. And I don't know if y'all heard me laughing, but that shit was fucking hilarious. But do I endorse clubbing someone in the face with a skateboard? I don't. Do not, you heard it here first, from a guy who's been racially discriminated against his entire life, whose parents have been shot, all that crap. I am telling you, don't assault people with skateboards. That is an extreme example of what it is I'm talking about. And I said this on B's channel when she asked me, Robert, what can white people do to help? and I will tell you what it is I told her. And what I put in a video when this whole thing started off, and I was doing these videos on my iPhone, and the audio sounded like shit, and now I have an iPad. But it was, if you have not lost a friend by the time this is all said and done with, then you haven't done it right. If you have not slapped, metaphorically, if you have not slapped the shit out of someone that you know before this is all said and done with and haven't lost friends, you haven't done it right. Because here's the truth. We all have that friend who just flirts with that line in terms of being a racial piece of shit or a misogynist. And we're sitting at a party and they say a joke or a comment. We're like, that's just Joe being Joe. Now is the time to check that person and say, that is not good enough. You have to do better. Or your other option is, this is no longer a friendship. You cannot, your silence is an agreement. When you hear someone say some fucked up shit, when you see, just like the whistleblower stuff that we were just talking about, if you do not stand up with all that we have seen, all that we know, you are just as bad. And I told Peter an example about a cop, and I will not get into details. Let's just say he targeted low-income women, and instead of going to jail, he'd offer them another option. Believe it or not, that's not the most fucked up part of the story. The most fucked up part about the story is everyone on the force was aware what this cop was doing. Every cop that did not open up his mouth or her mouth, you're just as bad, maybe even worse, because you had the power to stop what this fucker was doing. He gave them an option. You can go to jail for unpaid parking tickets, or same thing here. Again, I do not endorse people clubbing others in the face with a skateboard. That's a very extreme example of what it is I've been trying to say. And by I, every other person of color has been saying, you have to step up. No movement gains traction unless its antithesis joins the fight. Every woman out there with a master's degree, with 20 years experience on a job, when she goes to the boss and says, Joe's making more money than I am, she's just a complaining bitch. Until Joe walks in and says, you know what? We have the same education. We have the same experience. Why is she getting less? Susie's going to be ignored. And when I say especially me, I'm just talking about I've got a college education. I played in the NFL. I got a couple bucks in the bank. I own this home and some others. When I speak up, it's like, you're just a complaining ass Negro. You should be appreciative. I've actually had people tell me, we gave you a black president. What else do you people want?
That's fucked up.
It's very fucked up. But until my white brothers and sisters say, hey, you know what? Don't say that to Robert. And when I say Robert, I mean every other fucking black person on the planet. I'm just a complaining nigger who needs to be appreciative of what he has. So until the antithesis joins in, the movement will never gain any traction. And it just hit me with something that, let me talk to y'all about the word nigger for a second.
I do. So, Robert, we do have a question. I put the question on screen. So I want to.
I can't see it, but go ahead.
Yeah. So the question is from Keith. By the way, Keith, I use his name. I use his name a lot.
Shit, Papa. Sorry.
I use Keith a lot when arguing with people. Keith actually is someone who spent 2 hours to change my mind on one single topic, and I'm still thankful that he did that. And Keith, I miss you on Twitter. You need to get back. So, he has a question. I have my answer already. He says, do you think it's more important to stay close to racist people in order to work on them and get them out of that echo chamber, or let them surround themselves with other like-minded a-holes?
Yes and no is my answer if you're asking me. So there's got to be a cutoff point where it's like lifeguarding. How fitting. I worked at a mental hospital once, and there was a pool, and you learn kind of basic lifeguarding. The Superman push, how to drag someone by the chest and not the neck. But there's one lesson that they taught us, and it's when you realize that this person is just fighting too much and they're going to kill both of you, you literally push off their head and get away from them. That's someone who can't/won't be saved. And it's a really fucked up reality. It's no different. I remember, I can't remember which game I played in, but I fucked up my leg. And when they boarded me on the plane, my teammates put me in the exit row so I could put my leg up. The stewardess came and was like, he can't sit there. I was like, my leg is injured. I have to put it up. And long story short, she was just like, you can't sit there because you're injured. You can't do the emergency procedures the way we need you to do them. And I remember asking her, oh, wait, so I get to die where everyone else lives? And she said, yeah, it's a numbers game. I'd rather kill you and save a plane full of 150 people versus the other way around. So long story short, to answer your question, I would stick in with that racist person as long as you could. And then if you cannot save or help that person, honestly, you make an example out of that person. And if that's your friend, that's a friendship that needs to be sacrificed. Because if Joanne won't stop saying the word nigger, won't stop saying he sounds white, name all this shit, and when you realize I cannot help Joanne, you break away from Joanne, and then you put Joanne on blast as an example. This is what you don't do. And that's why I'm saying we all have to be prepared to lose friends on this one. Otherwise, we're going to keep going to the same shit. And real fast, because I'm a germaphobe, I was like this before COVID. I have used so much disinfectant that my skin on my hands is peeling. So I'm going to be applying a shit ton of lotion because my hands right now look like sandpaper. So excuse me for a second. But to answer your question, that's what you do. You hang in with that person as long as you can. And when you realize this person can't be saved, you separate yourself. Then honestly, you isolate, then you trash that person. As an example to everyone else, this is what you don't do.
Yeah, I agree. I would work on a person as long as
Sure.
as possible. And so when you get to find out that there's absolutely no way you're going to change their mind, I still wouldn't choose the option to let them surround themselves with like-minded people, because then I would try and convince the like-minded people instead if I had a chance. I won't stop talking to them. Either way, whether or not I'm getting through or not, I will not stop talking to them. I know I'm in a different position. I know that to me it's not as emotional talking to someone as it would be for you. So I am in a different position, and I really realize that. But I won't stop talking to someone. If you think it's okay, if you think, hey, it's not around my house, I don't see it,
Right.
then you're not doing it right. Because if in this day and age where you have the internet, where you have Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, it's not hard to find the examples that people are talking about. So
Right.
you have no excuse saying, hey, well, in my neighborhood there's no racism. Well, good for you. My next question would be, is it an all-white neighborhood, possibly?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That would be my first question, because 9 times out of 10, that is the reason.
Yep.
Or are colored people really in the minority in your neighborhood? maybe they're keeping their head down.
To
Watch them.
piggyback off of that,
Have you talked to them? Do you engage with
Oh,
them?
fuck
Do you
course they do.
invite them over for parties, for barbecues, for birthdays? Do you do that? I mean,
They don't.
that would
They don't.
those would be my questions. If you tell me there's no racism where I live, I want to know how you interact with people in your neighborhood, because
First and foremost, that's called fantasy land. That place doesn't exist. They're just ignorant of it. And a friend that I teach self-defense to, I go to her house now. Pure coincidence. This was before I started doing self-defense. I was just a personal trainer at the time before I made the switch. And there was a lady, and it's kind of standard issued personal training 101. What are your goals? How about this? Tell me what celebrity you want to look like. Or if you're like me, I'm like, okay, you can pick the best of all worlds. Whose legs, whose arms, who's this, everything else. It's kind of a fun game. Now, before you realize it, they're at the end of their session. It's just a fun way to distract them from the pain you're putting them through. And this one lady was doing the whole, oh, I want Linda Hamilton arms. I want this person's butt. I want this person's abs. And I can't remember who she said, but I remember she said, and I want this person, because they have a nice big pair of nigger lips. And I was like, you know I can hear you, right?
I'm sitting right here.
And I'll never forget that. I will never forget that. And she was like, what's the problem? And I just started at the place I'm in now. I've been there for 23 years. I'm there longer than anybody. And I remember I walked in, I don't think this was even 6 months into my new job. I just got off the football field. I just got my license to do personal training. And I remember walking to my boss's office and I was like, you know what? If this is the type of place this is, you can cut me the check right fucking now because I'm out of here. And I told him what happened. And he talked to this person, and then she came back to me and she was like, I had no idea that was bad. I didn't know I could do that. And it was the exact same thing because in her circle,
and right
saying,
there, right there, you have an example of how bad it is.
Right.
It's normal.
Right.
It's fucking normal to say something like that.
And these cats, let's just say they aren't poor. And so when the niggers and wetbacks that are working for you are happy because you're giving them $10 an hour, as far as you're concerned, what's the problem?
Yeah.
I just found out the person who I'm teaching self-defense to, the person who said nigger lips, lives behind her. And I'm sitting, I was like, I need to see her. I need to see this lady. It's been 20 years. I need to see her. I need to show her my nigger lips. But the other one was we were playing the U of H. And I'm only saying Houston because it's relevant to the story. Anyone from Texas or remembers the old Southwest Conference remembers the University of Houston is inner city. These aren't rich people from Dallas that go to the U of H. These are some hardcore ass bros. That's just the way it works out. And in the 80s and the 90s, they were fucking fantastic. Well, this was one year where we were whipping the shit out of the U of H. And the way it works, like in the fourth quarter, when it's a secured victory, they start putting in the second string guys, and they'll leave a couple starters in to help direct the traffic. Well, I was one of the starters. So okay, hey, you get number 89. Hey, no. You need to shade over. You're trying to help these guys get experience. That's all it is. The game is secured. We are winning. The U of H drives the field because they're playing against our second and third stringers, and they punch one in like from the 3-yard line. And I'll never forget, they ran over the strong side inside linebacker. I'm a strong side outside linebacker. I'm his bodyguard, basically. So I'm the one who's closest to him. And they ran him over. Bam! The game is over. We're going to win the game. And I'll never forget, the inside linebacker got up and said, you fucking nigger! Okay, the U of H is all black. and there's probably 50% of us at this stage that are black on the field for UT, and we're all just like, what? And the U of H guys are like, yo, you need to check your boy. And I remember telling the tight end that I lined up against, like, I've got one better. I'm going to let you do it. So the next series, I didn't block for this dude at all. He spent the rest of the game getting his ass whooped because every black dude on the line, we were just like, down set hike, and we just let him kick the shit out of him. Yeah. So that's kind of my point of, you can't stand there and be a part of it. You have to do something. And I got to talk about the word nigger before we kill it. So I always retweet the videos of a black dude kicking the shit out of a white guy when he calls him nigger 900 times. And let me tell y'all why that is. We give more we don't treat chickens this way. Chickens are not sentient beings. And if you live in Austin, there's two major factions, the hardcore vegans and the hunters. The hunters have literally taken a pledge that they will not eat meat that they did not kill and process themselves. And of course, vegans just won't touch meat at all whatsoever. As polarized opposites as they are, they have one thing in common, and that is, don't fuck around in Austin, Texas and tell somebody that the chicken breast you're eating was factory farmed. They will rail the shit out of you, and both sides will give you the exact same story. And that is, for the year or two that chicken's alive, it's kept in this small cage. Their beaks are deformed. Their claws are deformed. And on the last day of their life, they're all hung up by their neck and they're put on this conveyor belt. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about animals that are not sentient beings. So if you're the 150th chicken, you see 149 of your homies and homettes get their necks slit. So when it's your turn, whatever the fear hormone is rushed into your flesh. The last thing you feel is fear, you die, that hormone's in your blood, and so they tell us when you eat factory farmed meat, you're ingesting kind of fear ingested meat. That's what we say about chickens who aren't sentient beings. What did my great grandfather go through that I'm feeling right fucking now? And people have to understand, when you said the word nigger or whatever, or you did a physical action, it usually meant you're going to die. Or if you're lucky, you're just going to get beat the fuck up. Now, if that happened 3 generations ago, what do you think got passed down to me? If we're going to give that respect to a fucking chicken, give it to a black person. So when you hear the word nigger, especially where I live, where, oh, Robert, it's such a bad word. Oh, not even black people should. People make the word nigger out to be the worst thing to happen to the planet since the dissolving of the ozone layer and the birth of my ex-wife. And when black people act accordingly and we kick the fuck out of someone, we get to hear, you know what, you should have, it's just a word. It's just a, I was like, you can't have it both ways.
No.
And again, if we're going to give that respect to a fucking fowl, you need to give it to a black person, because when you heard the word nigger, it usually meant you were going to fucking die. And so here we are in 2020, and we're seeing videos of a white person, you nigger, you fucking nigger, you're a nigger, you fucking nigger, 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 nigger. And when the black person picks him up by the throat and slams the shit out of him, what do we hear? We get to hear, you know what, you should have hit him. Why'd you hit him? It's only a word. No, you're still protecting the fucking white person.
And this is what I wanted to get back to, because we showed the video of the 2 white guys. The reason that I tweeted that video was, first of all, shoot me. I found it funny.
I thought it was fucking hilarious.
I found it funny.
Yeah.
I will say, violence is not the way to go. So please,
sometimes
don't all go buy a skateboard to hit people with. Do not do that. I'm I'm not telling you to do that. The reason I tweeted that video was also I wanted to see what the response was. And I did it in a specific way. I tagged you in and I said, we need one of these every day.
Yeah.
So now we got the video and we've got my comment. I'm white.
Yeah.
I want to see what's going to come at me, which was quite a bit. I got quite the comments that this wasn't okay and this is assault, and I fully agree.
Right.
When I tweet a video of a black guy getting killed, I get nothing.
Right.
So now you tell me you can come up to me and say, hey, this is assault. But where's your outrage when a person loses their life?
Exactly.
That is the part I don't get. And that is the reason why I just had to tweet that video. Because I knew what was going to happen.
You fucking nailed it. And so the funny part is when you tweeted that video, I was walking my boys. And so when I come back, my phone is lit the fuck up. I was like, what the fuck? And so you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It goes back to, and there's a lady that I trained last week, and I told her, I have heard more passion, because I've been with this lady for 10 years. I've heard more passion out of your mouth over the last 5 minutes about buildings. And she looked like she had just smelled a fart. Like, oh, that's fucking looters. That's fucking bullshit. I've never heard her say anything about Philando Castile, Trayvon Martin. Name all the cases that we know and the 1 million that we don't know. I never heard a fucking peep out of her mouth. But when you talk about looters, that's fucking bullshit.
Exactly. And
exactly.
even so let's compare it to something less horrific. Even with a tweet about that little girl that put her hands in the air and started crying when she saw a police car. Right. There's not the same outrage as when a white dude slaps another white dude in the face with a skateboard. And so there's a difference. There's a difference. And I'm not even sure whether or not that video is genuine. I haven't checked. I wanted to check before today. I didn't have the time. It wouldn't even surprise me if the whole thing is staged.
It would not matter if it was staged or not, because the reaction represents the genuine attitude of at least the white people on American soil. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's kind of hard to get angry while I have a Jack Russell on my fucking lap this entire time. So just so y'all know, this guy has not moved. So I'm trying to get mad. It's like, and then I got Pop on my lap. But I want to hit on that. I really want to hit on that. And it went back to maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, when I talked about on my 120s why the Black Panther was so important. Because whether you realize it or not, at least here in the States, you connect to groups that you don't understand or that you don't know through what you see on the media. TV, movies, radio, songs. That's what you see. We are dehumanized, especially large black men. You are seen as a fucking demon. And boy, this could be a whole nother fucking show. But think about all the cases that we know about. Like Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin died at the hands of a rent-a-cop. He wasn't police. He was neighborhood patrol. 911 told him, you don't have the authority. You need to back off. Within, a week of Trayvon Martin's death, you know what we heard about that case? We heard that Trayvon Martin liked to smoke marijuana. That had fucking nothing to do with Trayvon Martin dying. George Floyd was choked like a fucking stray animal in the street. We found out that apparently, which I found out later, isn't exactly true, that he held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. We heard that he's been in jail. We heard that he's done drugs in his past, which had nothing to do with the moment. Fuckface Derek Chauvin had 19 charges of professional misconduct, and no one can name a single fucking one. Blake was shot 7 times for reaching for a gun. No, it wasn't a gun. It was a knife. Oh, wait, it wasn't a knife. He was just opening up his door. Then we found out he's done drugs. He's been in jail. Give me the name of the officer. You can't do it. What about his past? You can't do it. The kid who fell into the gorilla pit, if y'all remember that story, Harambe, he fell into a pit and they shot the ape. They shot the gorilla. Every other news station talked about the ethics of the case. Why did we have to shoot the gorilla? One station, I can't remember which one, even said a gorilla that size and that maturity level has the power to crush a ripe coconut with its bare hands. We didn't like what we did. We didn't have a choice. Fox News, and I'm going to say it again, Fox fucking News found out that the dad of the boy, who's black, had felony charges and spent time in jail. So they talked about that versus the ethics of the case. And the pièce de résistance, Amber fucking Geiger, broke in, didn't enter like the news stations say. She broke into the apartment of Botham Jean, shot that man in his chest in his own living room. Within 2 days, we found out that he had smoked a joint in his living room. You know what they said about that bitch? They said she was tired. She was exhausted. She worked a long shift. You get your information from people who don't look like you from the media. And when the media is constantly demonizing black people, this is what happens. This is what happens. This is why you can exterminate us. This is why it doesn't bother anyone to step on someone's neck for almost 10 fucking minutes with no facial expression. We aren't human. And the media helps portray that. Go look at all those cases of a black man or a black woman being murdered. They will dig up shit from their past while their white aggressor is made to be an angel. And I got to get all this in because this is the shit that floats in my head. Fuckface Kyle, when he shot 2 people, the first thing they put on the internet and on TV was a picture of him doing community fucking service, scrubbing graffiti off of a wall. Mm-hmm. When the Austin bomber, which was right behind my house, they shut my neighborhood down for hours. We couldn't leave. You couldn't come in. He killed people. One of the victims was a black kid, one of my students at Fire Dragon Martial Arts. The fucker who killed him, the picture was his high school picture. It wasn't his mugshot. No. It was a white boy with his hair perfectly coiffed, glasses, smiling.
And that's another thing. That's another thing. That is creating a narrative.
Killers are made into angels and they make excuses for them.
Yes.
If you want to know why it's easy to kill us, is because we are still seen as fucking animals. Yes. Even when we're the victims. Botham Jean sat in his fucking apartment. That nigga ate Fruity Pebbles. He smoked a joint. He wasn't harming anyone. And they said he was smoking a joint, which had nothing to do with the case. That bitch broke into his house, shot him dead in his apartment, and they said she was tired. I've been tired before. If you've never gone through an NFL training camp, you don't know what the definition of tired is. And every single man on that 53-man roster, we went home that night. What we didn't do was commit fucking homicide in someone else's house. And so they said they made excuse for her, but they made sure you knew that both of them, Jean, smoked a joint. Fuck you. Fuck you. We are demonized. And that's why it's so easy to kill us. I'm probably lost some people. I don't give a shit anymore. Because like I said, I could be the next black dude. And when I say I, all of us could be the next fucking black person to get shot. And if all you got is a fucking stat sheet, then fuck you. Because you only kick numbers when you aren't part of those fucking numbers. If you don't know what it's like to be afraid because you're going 37 in a 35-mile-an-hour zone and you see a cop behind you, you're not worried about if your insurance is up to date. You're not worried about if your registration or your inspection is up to date. You're worried if you're going to fucking die. And that's not uncommon. So this George Floyd shit, like I said, George Floyd is a battle cry. And it's been a battle cry since the 1600s. People on the internet are just figuring out what's going down. And they still want to tell people like me, it's not that bad. So you can go fuck yourself. Yep. Like I said, I'm going for it.
And also, what you said earlier, I'm not afraid of losing people. I think we just lost someone in the side chat, which is great. We're not going to talk about that. If you want to trigger us, great. Not going to happen.
I don't care anymore.
Not going to happen. So thanks, Lilith.
I'm not looking for fans.
No, because
I want people who are going to stand next to me, and by me, I mean everybody.
And if
I'm not looking for fans, I don't care if I go from 50 million followers to 0.
Yeah,
I want to live long enough so my mother doesn't have to fucking bury me. Exactly. I'm not looking for fans. I don't care if you like me. I want to live.
And the same goes for me and how I see this channel. If you don't like what is said right here, feel free to unsubscribe.
Beat it.
Those are not the people we need to come over and watch. If you can't be a basic human being, then sorry, not sorry. It's that easy. I do want to say for the people who are still watching, we're doing an after show.
Thank you.
I put in the link before. Let me see. Do I still have it? Yep, I still have it. There's the link to the after show. The link to join the after show will be in the description. So if you want something to talk to us, if there's anything you want to say, anything you want to contribute, you're more than happy to come on. We're going to have a limited panel, but I can rotate people through whenever necessary. So that's not going to be a problem.
Fair enough.
So we're almost up to an hour and a half. I don't mind going a little bit longer because we still have our second video, and I don't know how far have you come with all your bullet points. Did you get everything out?
Let me see. I got the most important portion. I'll throw one more thing in if we got to sign off.
No.
It's the.
We're good to go. Right. We're good to go.
I got to put. He's got to go down. He's killing me. All right. You just go to your blanket. Go to your blanket. It's okay. No. I'm fine. You're okay. It's the age-old question of when is it okay for us to protest? Again, I don't like looting. I don't endorse looting. And he went to his blanket. How cute is that? It's but when it's like, well, why don't you have a peaceful protest? Because at least here in Texas, the big thing is peaceful protesters. It's kind of like whistleblower and rat or snitch. Peaceful protester is now a negative word. And you're like, okay, I'll peaceful protest. You mean like taking a knee? No, not like that. Well, fuck. Okay. Well, why don't you hold a press conference? You mean like Colin Kaepernick did? Like half a dozen? No, not like that. Okay. Then I'm going to march. Ooh, well, not like that.
But we talked.
So it's like,
please
tell me when it's okay to offend you, if that's the word to use.
We talked about this yesterday. So we are different when it comes to sports. You're a football guy. I'm a Formula One guy, and I told
Yeah.
you about the guy
Yeah.
that
Yes.
that I support and have been supporting since since he came into Formula One. For every race, they keep a minute silence or a couple of seconds silence, and several of the drivers kneel. Some don't, some do. All of them wear an End Racism T-shirt. Some wear a Black Lives Matter T-shirt. And this is adopted by the Formula One organization. So they've made time before every race to do this, to allow the drivers who want to kneel and to make a stand against racism. It is on every single car. That's how far the support goes. The team of Lewis Hamilton changed livery from silver to black. It has Black Lives Matter on his car. If anything, I think this is where sports can help.
Oh yeah.
If sports are popular, sports is also something where people get together, and that goes beyond skin color.
Yeah.
Because people will support a team whether or not there are black people or white people in the team. If you, as not just as a team, but as the organization that runs your particular sport, make an offer. Do not make it mandatory for people, but make an offer. If you want to kneel before the game, we'll give you time.
Yep.
If you want to show that you stand with the Black Lives Matter movement, we will give you time. If you want to have that on merchandise, if you want to have that somewhere on the walls, do you want a poster on the wall, we will do that for you. That, to me, that is one of the best things to get the message out, because people will still watch, and over time, people will start thinking, at least.
And that's the
to a
sad
degree.
part, in that, like the NBA and the NFL, it's one of the few professions to where the majority of the successful employees are black millionaires. And those teams, leagues, are getting a shit ton of kickback for kneeling. They've let the NBA guys put, personal messages on their jerseys, and they're getting blasted. They're still doing it, but they're getting blasted. NASCAR, at least down here in the South, Formula One, race car driving, Indy 500, it's kind of seen as, the racist white guy sport. That's why not a lot of black people are involved in it.
No.
And I actually remember seeing a tweet when the whole Bubba Wallace shit went down. It's like, because NASCAR were the first ones to say no rebel flags, none, zero. This is not just the sign of, to use Trump's words, a bunch of losers because they lost the war. Thank you. But,
Yes.
it's a symbol of racial oppression.
Yes.
And so NASCAR was the first one to say, don't put that. I can't stop you from doing it outside the stadium, but inside the stadium, there'll be none of that. And I was like, holy shit, NASCAR, the biggest white boy hick sport on the planet. They're the first. If NASCAR can get rid of the Confederate flag, you're putting everyone else to shame. So I may just become a race car fan after what you told me, after what NASCAR did, finding out Bubba Wallace is a great driver.
For
How do you not?
For people who are not aware, Lewis Hamilton is the first black driver in Formula One.
Yep.
Probably this year will be equal with the all-time world record of 7 world championships, and he'll probably get his 8th next year. So he's putting his mark on the sport, and I'm not supporting him because he's black. I'm supporting him because he's the best driver and has been ever since he started Formula One.
Who
And-
just so happens to be black. That helps.
Yes, and so and another thing is he had to work for it, and not only did he have to work for it, his whole family had to work for it. His dad worked 2 jobs to get him into racing. They had to suffer to get their kids a future. Both sons are racing. So yeah, and that's the underdog now being top of the list. And that's a story I like. And I don't care what his skin color is. What I do like about him is that he's engaging. He's socially engaging. When there's a matter, he will speak out against it. He won't shut up and be politically correct. He will tell it like it is, and that's what I think matters. And that's where I think people in the sport can do a lot more than they might be doing at this time.
So I just saw, just so you guys know, the computer I'm on is old because I'm cheap. I refuse to buy shit. I have a Yeti speaker that I haven't hooked up. So I got to click back and forth on the side chat here. And I'm saying his name because I don't give a fuck. I don't know who this Reese person is or was, but apparently Reese had some issues with some of the shit that we were saying, and maybe that's who you're talking to because his messages have been deleted. And I just want to call out Reese because this is exactly what I'm talking about. When you see a cancer, you isolate that cancer, then you cut that cancer the fuck out. Because again, like I said, if you want to know from the black person in this conversation what white people can do, it's exactly that. And tomorrow I'll go back and I'll read all this shit. But you can no longer sit here and be that's just Reese. He just said. No, you isolate that fucker. You call that fucker out. You say, you see that? That's what you don't do anymore. So everyone in the side chat, I just want to say thank you. Apparently, wow, he said something and Erica said disgusting comment. This is exactly what the fuck it is I'm talking about.
I can help you out. I can help you out because I've been reading the side chat as we've been talking and putting up some of the messages on screen. Lilith hid him from the channel. So most likely if you're going to go back tomorrow, you won't see his comments anymore because Lilith hid him from the channel. She basically blocked him.
Babe, of course.
And to Reese,
yeah.
And to Reese, who asked me to get my moderators in check. Reese, Lilith has exactly the same amount of power on this channel as I have, as Robert has, as Artie has, and we got another one coming. If Lilith hid you from the channel, both of you are on Twitter. You go ask Lilith nicely whether or not you can come back. Because this is Lilith's action. I stand behind what Lilith did. Because
so do I.
She's... I mean...
How about this? If she blocked him or kicked his ass out for what it is I see, he must have done something shitty. Because if I trust anyone to stand by my side, it is definitely her. So if she kicked his ass out,
the people...
he must...
people,
that's why.
Yeah, the people who have a wrench in this channel, those are the people that I trust to do what's right. The people who are part of this channel,
Erica, I trust them.
The people who are part of this channel, if someone gets kicked off, take it up with them.
I don't think
apparently
Erica and Lilith. I think this guy's just toast. So whoever Reese is, like I said 90 minutes ago almost, fuck you. Because like I said, I am not looking, let me click back over. I am not looking for fans. I am not looking for followers. I'm going to be honest with y'all. My goal in this life is to outlive my mom. You have no idea what that woman means to me. None. She will not. I said this in my videos when I was doing it on my fucking iPhone. My mother will not survive my death. You understand? And so all the George Floyds and Blakes that you think can happen to someone else, that's why I put on my screen the next black man to be shot. Because when I was told when the George Floyd shit, and Liz will tell you, I turned my phone off. I got flooded with all these text messages and phone calls saying things like, Robert, solidarity. Robert, you're not like the others. And I was like, one, fuck you, because I said this 20 years ago and you laughed at me. You literally laughed at me. But you know what George Floyd heard before he died, probably a month or two before? You're not like the other ones. You know what every black person who didn't make YouTube and CNN and Fox and everyone else, you know what they heard before they died? You're not like the other ones. And they're absolutely right until the fucking point you become the other one. I don't want my name to be a fucking hashtag. You understand? So like I said, I don't care if you block me. I don't care if you unfollow me. I don't care if you talk shit about me on Twitter. My goal is to make sure that Carrie Reed does not bury her youngest son. I don't give a fuck if you like me. I care that my mother doesn't have to sit casket side because some overzealous cop saw a large Negro reach for his wallet to pull out his driver's license.
Yeah.
So Reese, fuck you. Block me on Twitter, because if I find out who you are, I'm going to block you on Twitter. Like I said, I'm not looking for fans. I'm looking for people who will stand by my fucking side, because like I said, the number one woman in my life is my mom. She will not survive my death. And like I said, every black person has heard, you're not like the other ones until they become the other one. And if I find the interview of Jacob Blake's sister, I will post it. This woman had nothing but piss and vinegar. She hasn't cried yet. Her interview had me in my car. I had to pull over. That's how hard I was crying. She said, I'm not sad. She said, I'm tired. Do you understand how fucked up the shit is when your sibling is shot and you don't cry? Do you know how much shit she has gone through and she has seen? It's kind of like getting knocked out. Every martial arts will tell you this. When you hit someone so hard and you knock them out, you know you have fucked someone up when they don't go backwards. When you hit someone so fucking hard and they drop straight down, that's how you know you've caused fucking brain damage. When you try to murder someone's sibling and they're no longer sad, they're tired.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. So like I said, Reese, go fuck yourself with a tire iron. I don't like you. I don't care about you because you don't care about me. I want to see tomorrow and you're worried about getting your fucking feelings hurt. You need to check yourself. Lilith?
I want to say,
you.
Robert, I want to say something too, because if you come to this show and you think this is a good way to have some fun in the side chat, then you're not only missing the point, you're not a decent human being. If you think that the topic that we're talking about right now, that needs some comic relief in the side chat, then you didn't get the point.
You did it. You did.
And for the people who have been watching, I usually talk a lot. I usually stop people from talking. Before people start attacking me, you were very silent. Robert did all the work. No, Robert said, I'm going to rant. So this was Robert's thing. And
thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
just here. I'm just here to support and to show everyone that it doesn't give a fuck what color your skin is. You can support people who are suppressed, who are
Come on.
systematically getting killed, who are systematically getting higher sentences when they go to court, who are systematically being convicted of crimes they didn't do. If you want stats, those are the stats. And what we need is support for those people who suffer because of those stats. I'm fine with you looking at the stats as long as you respond to those.
Bam.
That's the only reason we have those stats, to make you be able to look at the numbers, to look at how many people. So I don't know the percentages anymore, and I didn't want to pull it up. I told you this is your show. You're going to talk about whatever you want to do. But there are stats where it shows that a disproportional percentage of people are convicted of crimes they didn't commit, spend years in jail. Even the people who get exonerated after a while, you can show that the stats aren't even, not by a long shot.
Not even close.
And it isn't just the only thing. It isn't just the single videos that we see on Twitter. It isn't the occasional murder we get to see that is being filmed, because there is a lot more in the wake of all of this.
Yep.
That is just the tip of the iceberg. The things that make you outraged, the things that make it to the news, that is just the tip of the iceberg. What's a lot worrying is what is underneath.
Underneath, yep. Absolutely.
And when we see the things that we see on TV, it as you said, it is 9 people. No, it's not. It's their families. Now look at the tip of the iceberg. Now look at the amount of families that have to deal with this.
Right, exactly.
That have to deal with someone going to jail for a thing they didn't do. Someone going to jail for a longer period of time for a thing that a white guy does and doesn't get the same sentence.
Exactly. Thank you, Nancy.
And if that doesn't worry you, and if that doesn't make you furious, and I'm more than happy to send out that tweet and say, hey, we need a white guy like this every single day. Because at least now I've triggered you. Now I've got you thinking. Because now the hurt comes to your neighborhood.
Exactly.
Because now it's the white guy getting hit. Yeah. So now suddenly you feel it. You should have
funny how that works.
Funny how that works. Yeah, you should feel the exact same way if you see a black guy being shot, being hit, being picked up for something he didn't do. Yep. The outrage should be exactly the same. And I don't get it how in 2020 we're still not able to figure out that we're all from the same race. We're human beings. What we should do instead is worry how we treat animals, because that's the next step. But we can't even treat our own kin the way we should. And
people aren't ready to be real.
And that's why. And that's the part that makes me furious. And I'm lucky. I live in a country where there's less. But I see what happens if I go out with my best friend. I see how people respond to him, how they talk behind his back because his Dutch isn't as good as it should be.
Right.
And I will call them out. And I get so pissed off. Since I've been on Twitter, I made so many friends on Twitter and from every demographic. And I've told people before, you and I just clicked, and that worked.
Yeah. No question.
And I don't see why that can't be the same thing for everyone. Why you can't look at the person that you're talking to, about their opinions, about the way they have their empathy, the way they have their emotions. If I'll say it, if I had to choose a brother, would be you.
I am touched.
Because I couldn't think of a better person. And I said it enough. I said it enough. You know how I feel, and I think everyone who's watching the channel knows how I feel about this. It just pisses me off, and if I also want to say, I don't think this should be the only thing. I think this should be a recurring thing because we're not done yet.
No, the fight just started.
Yes.
The fight has just started.
And
So yeah, thank you. Yeah, we should do another one. It's this is a huge topic, and this is bigger than just you. This is bigger than just me. This, like I said, George Floyd is simply a battle cry. I mean, probably the name that some people will recognize will be Emmett Till. But again, just think about all the stuff that hasn't been caught on YouTube. Now think of that number and multiply it by infinity. Again, like I said, I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to menstruate, to get pregnant, to give birth, to walk through the store. I remember I teach self-defense to two pretty successful women, and they both told me the same thing. And that one of them is a very successful attorney. And I remember her telling me when she was coming up before she made partner, then started her own law firm, it's like she could not sit in a meeting. And if she said, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z, either one of two things happened. She would get ignored, and then Bob would say the exact same thing. And like, way to go, Bob. Way to go, Bob. That's a great fucking point, Bob. Or if she did get acknowledged, it was a shoulder rub, a touch on the thigh, their voice would drop. Hey, way to go, Susie. While they're that has never happened to me before a day in my life. Never. As someone without those experiences or that vision, my only response was, Susie, I hear you. I had no idea that that's what it's like. So if you don't have that person's vision, and I've said this about my mental illness, the best thing you can say to someone with invisible disease is, I believe you. I can't tell people who don't live with bipolar mood disorder what it's like to have it. You don't have to understand. All you can say to me is, I believe you. I will never have Susie's experience. I have no idea. I was a rookie in the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. I'm a piece of shit. The guy that I was backing up was making millions of dollars. And I would be like, why don't we go to cover two? Cover two, cover two. That was phenomenal. A man said it. I have no idea what it's like to be Susie, a high-powered attorney, and say the exact same thing as Bob, but get two totally different reactions. I'll never have that vision. So all I can say to Susie is, I believe you, and I'm willing to listen to you. Because I want to learn, if for no other reason, I don't want to treat you like that piece of shit treated you. But I want to learn your experiences. And so when a black person tells a white person, this is what I'm experiencing in this country, don't go to stats.
No.
Don't read off figures. Listen to that black person when they tell you, I'm legitimately afraid to go pump gas. and the gas station is literally right across the street. Well, why, Robert? Let me tell you why. Because they threatened to hang my uncle in Big Mama's front yard. They shot my dad. I've been called nigger almost every month I've been alive. Nigger means you're going to die. You don't have to understand. You just have to respect my point of view. And if I can end on anything, it's that. To all my white brothers and sisters out there, I don't expect you to walk in my shoes. I really don't. All I can ask is that when I say I mean all of us, fucking listen. Yeah. Listen, because we're not lying. This isn't what Donald Trump said. It isn't fake news.
It's really easy. If you see someone who is hurt, you can either feel empathy or can say, "Fuck you," exactly. and that's the only option. And what you need to do is
it's not that hard
to acknowledge it. No,
it's not that hard to be a human.
No,
it takes more effort to be an asshole and dig your heels in and say, "Fuck you." I read a stat. Well, okay, you are a white guy. Your stat doesn't mean shit. My experience means everything to me. And like I said, I'm going to keep saying this. When I say me, I mean every black person who's gone through the same shit times 10 that I've gone through. I'm only one voice. George Floyd was only one life. We represent everyone. And so when we tell you we need your help, don't get on the internet. Don't tell me about a stat. Listen. And like I said, when I say I and when I say me, I'm talking about every black fuckreese, whoever's still staying there and everyone that you know. When I say I'm talking about all of us. Just like I am willing to listen to women, my white brothers and sisters, please listen to black people. I'll never know what it's like to be 5 feet. I'll never know what it's like to have a vagina. I'll never know what it's like to have to text your boyfriend every 400 meters while you're going for a jog. I'll never know that. And I actually had a lady tell me that. She actually has to tell her boyfriend because she loves to exercise. She told me, I have to text him every second of my jog because if by this time I have not called you, I've been raped and murdered, call the cops, call my mom. I'm 6'3". I am muscular as shit. I have a 6-degree black belt in Shinjumatsu. I've got a 7-degree black belt in Kaji Kimbo. I may not be the best fighter ever, but I can kind of hold my own. If you put your hands on me, I'm probably going to make you regret that decision. She doesn't have that experience.
No.
So I don't know what it's like to be her. And so when she talks to me, I listen because I don't know what it's like to be her. So when a black person says, literally, every time a cop is behind me, I'm not afraid that my insurance isn't paid up. I'm afraid he's going to kill me. Don't pull up a stat. Listen. And if I can leave everyone with anything, just fucking listen. And I'm going to give myself credit because I want y'all to know right now, I'm holding back a lot of fucking tears. I'm doing good. I could have cried during this whole goddamn thing. But if you take anything from this, it's listen.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking.
Listen and open your eyes. I put it up on screen. Jen said it. If you see something, say something. Do something right then to the person, to the injustice, to racism, bigotry, and misogyny.
Thank you. Exactly.
All of it.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. Oh, I'm going to die.
Okay. I'm going to post a link to the after show. I was planning to do that about 3 minutes from now. That's not going to happen. I'm going to take about half an hour to get some coffee, and then we'll get back for the after show.
Perfect. That gives me time. It's going on 5 5 o'clock is when the boys eat.
Yeah.
So I'll feed them. So just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And I'll be here for the after show. So yeah.
Okay.
Great.
And you can just stay in this one. We're going to use this one for the after show as well. So
fair enough.
That's not going to be a problem.
Okay.
Okay. I wanna thank everyone in the side chat that hung out with us for so long.
Y'all are great.
Special thanks for Lilith for keeping an eye on whether or not everything is clean in the side chat. Great work. We didn't get through everything, but we'll make another show, and we'll have more video and pictures and whatever is needed to get the word out, because it is time the word got out. It is time to end this. It is
agreed.
It's time to make a stand. So
yep.
Robert, thanks for doing this.
Thank you for hosting it. Truly.
More than happy to.
This is huge.
Okay. So, people, catch you all in the after show. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.